So, what really makes someone a good person? I mean, it seems like a simple question, right? But what if I told you a seemingly perfect definition of good could also apply to a newborn baby? Today, we are diving deep into an ancient text, the Samaṇamuṇḍikasutta, to unpack a brilliant philosophical debate that might just challenge everything you think you know about goodness. So, our story kicks off not with some famous philosopher or a monk, but with a regular guy, a carpenter named Panchakanga. He lived in ancient India, and he had this burning question. What is a truly perfected or, a truly good person? He needed to know. Yeah, he wasn't about to accept any easy, simple answers. He was on a real quest for a solid, meaningful definition. And that led him to seek out the great teachers of his day. His first stop? A very famous wanderer named Upekkhā, a spiritual leader with hundreds of followers. So Panchakanga goes up to this teacher and asks him, point blank, how do you define a person who has reached the highest attainment? Someone who is perfectly skilled. And Upekkhā gives him a very clear, very straightforward four-part answer. Okay, let's break this down. Upekkhā's definition is all about what a person doesn't do. No bad actions, no bad words, no bad thoughts, and you don't make a living in a bad way. I mean, on the surface, that sounds pretty solid, right? It's a clean, simple checklist for being a good person. Don't do bad stuff. Make sense? But for Panchakanga, something just doesn't feel right. This definition, it feels a little empty. It's just a list of don'ts. It doesn't really say anything about what a good person is or what they do. So without arguing, he just gets up and takes this exact same four-point definition to the Buddha to get a second opinion. And this is where the whole conversation gets really fascinating. Because the Buddha doesn't just offer up a different list of rules. Nope, he does something way more clever. He uses this totally unexpected analogy to put Upekkhā's logic to the test. The Buddha basically hones in on the very same thing that was bugging Panchakanga. Is being a good person really just about the absence of bad things? He frames his entire response by saying, well, okay, if we accept this definition, then let's follow that logic. So here's the genius move. The Buddha takes this very serious, very spiritual definition of perfection and applies it to the most simple, undeveloped human being you can imagine. A baby, just lying on its back. Let's see how it holds up. All right, first point, evil actions. Does a baby do anything evil with its body? Not really. The Buddha points out that besides a little wiggling and kicking, a baby can't actually do anything harmful. So, that's a check. Second point, evil words. Does a baby use harsh speech? Of course not. It doesn't even know what words are. All it can do is cry. It can't lie, it can't slander, it can't gossip. So that's another check. And what about evil thoughts? Is a baby lying there plotting revenge or consumed by greed? Nope. Its little mind is just simple. It's free of malice. So that's a check. And finally, does a baby have an evil livelihood? Come on, its entire existence depends on milk. You can't get more innocent than that. So that's 4 for 4. Check. And there it is, the brilliant checkmate. The Buddha totally exposes the flaw in the logic. If goodness is just about the absence of bad, then a newborn baby, who is literally incapable of evil, is the most perfect person on the planet. And we all know instinctively that can't possibly be the whole story. So if the baby isn't the ideal, then what is? Well, the Buddha explains that real goodness isn't some passive state of innocence. It's about something way, way deeper. It's about the source, the quality of your mind where all of your actions, words, and thoughts come from. He introduces this concept of akusala, which we can translate as unwholesome or unskillful. These are the things we do that cause harm to ourselves and to others. But the real question is, where do they come from? And here we get to the root of the problem. The Buddha says that all these unwholesome things, they all spring from a mind that's clouded by greed, by ill will and anger, and by delusion, or just plain ignorance. These are the 3 toxic roots. Now, the opposite of that is kusala, the wholesome, the skillful. These are the actions that lead to happiness and well-being. And just like their negative counterparts, they have a very specific source. Wholesome actions come from a mind that is the total opposite, a mind free of greed, which shows up as generosity, a mind free of ill will, which becomes goodwill, and a mind free of delusion, which is wisdom. See, it's about actively cultivating these positive states. So, after completely dismantling that first definition, the Buddha offers his own. And it's not another simple checklist of negatives. Instead, it's a deep, comprehensive list of 10 positive qualities, 10 skills that have to be actively developed and perfected. And you can see right away, this is a whole different ballgame. A perfected person isn't just someone who manages to avoid doing bad stuff. They are someone who has mastered their view, their effort, their mindfulness, all the way to perfected knowledge and ultimately liberation. This is the result of serious, dedicated training, not the simple, passive innocence of a baby. So in the end, this ancient debate reveals a pretty timeless truth. Goodness isn't about what we avoid, it's about what we actively build. It's a skill, like a muscle that we have to strengthen through practice. And that leaves all of us with a really powerful question. Instead of just trying not to be bad today, which one of these skills will you intentionally practice to be good?